That's Sir Harold. That's my mentor. What else can you expect from him? So congratulations, sir. I have not personally told you this, but I'm so proud, no, for your initiative, for having such a brilliant idea, brilliant initiative of coming up with this kind of undertaking, this kind of intervention. So congratulations also sa mga human resource managers of Surigao del Norte and province of Dinagat Islands for taking part in this activity. You're just on the right track, actually. So, technology, has never been so important in the history of mankind. We all know that. Now more than ever, we don't just rely on technology. We live with technology in our midst. Okay? Equally important also is the fact that human resources as a profession has never been so important. I don't know kung manotice niyo, but there must be some sort of an increase of transaction between you and the people of your agency employees, or sige ginatawag ka ni mayor or kinsa ba din ha, because a human resource is actually taking the center stage, especially in other organizations, other companies, when companies are closing down and they have to drop people from payroll, or organizations and have to cut cost, and job reduction has always been the most alternative or convenient alternative being resorted to. It's really HR is taking the center stage, being at the forefront of implementing the changes, no? Especially when you have this workforce restructuring and all. So, two things are being forged now, no? HR and technology, or technology and HR. That's why it's just very fitting when you have this kind of hashtag, no? Technology for HR. It's just very fitting. And in fact, JobStreet has perfectly described it, no? We're looking now at a technology-savvy human resource industry. Okay? We are being pushed to a level that we usually relegate to IT people before, di ba? We are being pushed to a level of technological savviness. So, we used to say, we used to say, or a lot of us would always say, that's an IT thing, not mine, di ba? Or perhaps as an HRMO, we'd always say na, wala man good akong IT, nag-absent, wala man good may signal, ma'am, wala internet, and the excuses goes on. This kind of excuse for me nowadays are becoming unacceptable, both on professional and personal counts. Why professional? Number one, because this should really become part of our competency build-up. Second, personal, because in our respective households, siguro atong mga anak nag-online classes na, no? And gone are the days when IT is just around the corner, no, to assist us. So, okay lang ko atong mga anak, mga techie, but personally, we really have to learn this trade to keep us up and running, no? So with quarantine, lockdown, and physical isolation, how else do we connect? You just imagine, no? So it's been how many months? 7 months since the lockdown. I wanna ask, are you getting the hang of it? The next thing I really would like to ask is, are you still there? Still feels so weird, no? You kind of ask this kind of question, are these people listening to me? Are they doing something else? Okay? Are you enjoying let's face it, there are positive things that are happening because of the COVID crisis, because of the pandemic, right? With this work from home scheme, we get to have more time with family, to bond with our family, to have time with our plants and look for more plants. Okay, so in my case, it's really more the positive, especially on overseas study, so I get to really spend more time with family. But the other question would be, are you experiencing some emotional or mental anxieties or anything sort of that matter? This is precisely the reason why you're having this kind of seminar, no? Mental health in the midst of the crisis. Some would say this is a time when we just survive. We don't plan. When I first heard that, I kind of resisted the idea. No, dili pwede na we just have to survive to live just to survive. But come to think of it, no, maybe if you're looking at it from the standpoint of not getting infected with the virus and not die because of it or any illness, God forbids, it's really true. But on the other hand, I was also thinking, why do we just focus on surviving? Why not surviving and thriving at the same time? Huh? And surely this technology of HR webinar that Sir Harold is giving you, is not intended for you to survive, diba? Survival, of course, survival needs to come off first in the list. But what I'm really trying to say here is that for us to really be having the kind of mindset that looks at things, sees things, not in the negative spectrum, but looking at it the positive way, getting or making the most out of it, seeing the opportunities that this crisis is bringing us, is offering us, is the kind of mindset that would really make us not only survive, but also thrive. So we're just very happy, no? We're so very fortunate to have this kind of training, no? The positive mental health in the midst of the crisis. Really fitting for the kind of situation that we're in. Of course, as Sir Harold has emphasized, even way before COVID visited us, there was already this plan for having the mental health for all employees in the public sector, all the government employees, to have this kind of mental health seminar or kind of intervention. So I believe it's also well incorporated in the design, in the plans of Sir Harold and all of you guys, especially in the respective agencies, to have this kind of training for mental health and or mental wellness for all your employees. I hope that this kind of training will get you off to something really bigger, to something that will position you or better position you as an HR manager in your respective offices. Okay? Because for me, technological readiness is not only knowing technological or the technical part of it. It's really leveraging technology to be able to connect, especially in our profession. Connection, human connection, is one important ingredient in our profession. So we could not possibly connect with other people. We could not possibly connect with what's really going on if we're not having that kind of positive mindset. If something is really troubling us, okay? Things really get harder, no? Especially when now that social interactions are being halted, things become more difficult. I can just imagine, no? I'm not sure if you guys are still doing the recruitment, kung nag-hire pa ba gihapon mo. But I can only imagine how difficult would it be, no? Having this kind of interview when we used to conduct this face-to-face, no? Especially when you want to validate, when we want to really see if the person is really telling the truth or what, or just try to make us impressed with what he has done so far, or sort of those things. And how about this performance appraisal, okay? Or in the bigger scale, the performance management. This is an HR facet that really requires, connection, the kind of interaction, because we have to build relationship with our employees, with our staff, with our subordinates. But because we're not even allowed to go near them, even the face mask and the face shield, these are things that serve as barriers. So these are really challenges. These are the problems and difficulties that we are having now. And I can really feel how I can understand how difficult would it be. I studied in Israel, and when I came back, things were quite different. And the first problem, the first difficulty that I've ever encountered was really, how can I possibly connect with these people when we're having all this stuff in our face? We can't go near them. We can't have the salo-salo ever. So these are the challenges, and these challenges are affecting us mentally. That's why you have this kind of training, no? So congratulations, no? But I know some of us really detest the idea of relegating some HR functions to technology. But this is real talk, no? We can't do anything else but embrace the new normal. As we gear towards becoming more strategic and cost efficient, the growing sophistication of IT can only enable us to deliver high quality services. So we just have to be responsible, of course, with using technology to our advantage. So ultimately, the best way to really keep us afloat is not just to have that kind of survival mindset. That's right, huh? But to strive to thrive. I think this is the best exemplification of Sir Harold's HR intervention to bring you human resources and PDI to that level of resiliency, having that kind of survival mindset and thriving you with your people.
Wala direct si ma'am.
Yes. Okay. I'll take over, ha? Sige. Okay, let me take over, and nawala siya, pero I believe he is on pa-exit na siya, and I'm very sure he is listening right now, and that was her message. And Lilin, kung nakadungog ka, okay, welcome home. And kauban na nako siya dito sa Surigao del Sur, dugay-dugay may panag-uban, and then he just arrived mga last week, mga last month, no? So welcome, Lin, to all of you, and thank you very much. So to all of you, can we have a health break for 3 minutes, no? Katong gusto mag-restroom and mutindog, and we will be directly going and proceed to sa atong webinar proper. So 3 minutes, akong i-stop share, and then akong i-break time, and then akong ipatingog mo, and then after that, malit ka. Okay? So, 3 minutes.
Wala ang mga kuha. Wala itong background, wala naman system. Hello, good morning everyone.
So, this topic is very dear to me. as I've shared it before, and at the same time, we have to listen carefully because this can be very helpful as we are going to serve continuously and with effectiveness and efficiency, especially sa HR practice. Okay? So let me share. I would like to request you to please jot down and chat your questions and points of clarification because I requested Jan and Kay to take down notes so that during the question and answer, you can raise those questions and issues. Okay? Okay, let me share the slide. Okay. And here we go. And we are requesting Ma'am to, yan, si Ma'am is already there. Thank you very much. And here we go. And presentation. So, welcome back to our session on the positive mental health in the midst of crisis. This is a webinar I shared to identify what are the tips na makatago niya sa atong guests, and at the same time, what are the dynamics in terms of mental health to the overall health, personal resilience, and the well-being. So, I would like to introduce our guests. Si Ma'am Bernie, as she's fondly called, is a graduate of AV Psychology from the University of St. LaSalle. And she obtained her Master of Arts in Guidance and Counseling from the FSUU, Father Saturnino University, Orius University. She's connected right now with Caraga State University as Guidance Counselor 2, and formerly Agaya College Guidance Counselor of FSUU, at the same time graduate school professor and a school counselor of the School of the Morning Star. So if you can observe, she has a vast years of experience in terms of guidance and counseling. He is a member of the Philippine Guidance and Counseling Association, Psychological Association of the Philippines, and a lifetime member of the Association of Guidance Counselors in Caraga region. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you, Ma'am Bernardita G. Duyungco, MA, Registered Guidance Counselor. So, Ma'am.
Yes, hello.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, am I loud and clear?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. And so far, there are 50 who are listening right now with you. All HR practitioners. Yes, ma'am.
So I would like, don't start an apology, but I'd like to say mayong buntag sa tanan. It's been an honor and a great privilege to be invited by a good old friend. And because he's an old friend, so it's hard to say no to him. No? Sir Harold is very persistent and very ganang lisod bitaw balibaran. So, and then also at the same time, this was supposed to be last August, as what he said. But then there were some things that came up, like my sister was also a victim of COVID, and she almost died. So it was a harrowing experience for us. So that's why this webinar was delayed, because I begged him to be considered to have it postponed. Okay. So, I would like to ask everyone, kumusta naman mo? It's been 220 days since quarantine.
Ma'am, excuse me. Ma'am, excuse.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am. Just wait for a while because wala na butang ang screen. I'll make some fixes, ha?
Sige. Okay.
Sige. Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay. So, actually, nag-brown out there, bago lang yun. So, that's why it's dark. Oh, so last week, musad ang nag-run out ka. Okay. So anyway,
Sige. Tell it.
is it,
Okay, online learning. Here we go. Oh, this is not. Okay. Here is that. Here's your presentation.
okay, so I understand, and it was Ma'am Hazel who also mentioned about our this webinar as a preparation or trying to get hold of ourselves amidst this pandemic. So I hope that what I'm going to share with you can somehow enlighten everyone about what it really is mental health and how it differs from mental illness, and what are the kinds of disorders that would eventually or in the long run would affect our status of mental health. So, and third, can we start?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Ma'am, can you see your slide on screen?
No, it's not yet open, sir.
Okay. Sige. Let's have another one. Okay. Okay, it's not yet open. Let's have some fixes.
Okay. So I really thank God. Actually, I have prepared a prayer, Karina, but because there were some technical problems with the laptop and the connection, so it was good that Sir Harold was also able to prepare a prayer. And okay, so I have prepared some different. First, to make it a bit bigger.
Okay, nano ma'am? Wala pa.
Okay, naan siya, sir, pero may madakan gamay.
Sige, we will try. Okay, sige ma'am. Okay.
So, we have prepared different definitions of mental health. So, in Wikipedia, it is the level of psychological well-being or the absence of mental illness. Now, at the same time, it also says that it is the state of someone who is functioning at satisfactory level of emotional and biological or behavioral adjustment. So, I was not quite satisfied with the definition, so I tried to search for the WHO. They define mental health as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential and can cope with the normal stresses of life and work productively and fruitfully and able to make a contribution to his or her community. And then at the same time, when we say mental health, also refers to for cognitive, behavioral, and emotional well-being. In short, it's about how people think, feel, and behave. Now, sometimes we use the word mental health to mean the absence of mental disorder. Somehow it's explained that way. But let's go to the other definitions, sir. Next slide, please. Sir Harold. Okay.
Can you see? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, Harold asked me to include positive psychology. So, positive psychology may include the individual's ability to enjoy life and create a balance between life's activities and efforts in order to achieve a psychological resilience. So, we go to resilience in the later part of presentation so that because it is really one of the best ways in order to cope with this pandemic. Now, according also to WHO, mental health includes our subjective well-being, perceived efficacy, autonomy, competence, and at the same time intergenerational dependence and self-realization of one's intellectual and emotional potential, among others. They also further state that well-being of an individual encompasses in the realization of their abilities, coping with normal stresses of life, productive work, and contribution to the community. However, when we say mental health, manhood, are different several factors that would affect how we define mental health. For example, sa culture. In other countries, like for example, in the first world countries, they may have a different meaning or interpretation attached to mental health. But in our culture, we may also have our own interpretation of what mental health is all about. So, mayroon nga sa ato siguro, some would say na kung medyo naakay ng murag nayabag gamay or something like that. So, hindi na siya mentally healthy. So, things like that. But we will go later to that. Then also, all subjective assessment. Like for example, we have different assessment of ourselves, subject. So, for example, in my case, I would say that I'm mentally healthy, but it depends also on how, or what criteria or what do you call this? What measures did I consider for me to label myself mentally healthy? Now, at the same time, there are so many professional theories in psychology that would describe what mental health is all about. So that's why it's not really single definition of mental health. We have, that's why I tried to introduce as many definitions, and then we will try to simplify it according to how we interpret based on our culture. Okay, next, please. Sir Harold. Okay. So, mental health also includes, so, how the definitions earlier, we can say that mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So, when we say mental health, di lang kay ato lang na siyang cognitive aspect. Also includes our emotional, psychological, as well as our being social. It affects how we think, how we feel, how we act. So, it also helps determine how we handle stress, we relate to others, and to healthy choices, especially about food and our lifestyle. Okay, so mental health is important not only being adults, but in every stage of life. Mental health is very crucial, especially from childhood and going to adolescence and through our adult life. Then sometimes the term mental health is often used interchangeably. Like, for example, poor mental health and mental illness are not the same thing. So this is, we have to remember this. When we say poor mental health, and then we identify it in, when we say she has a poor mental health, but what is in our mind is that she has mental illness, but actually it's not the same thing. A person can experience poor mental health. It doesn't mean that she is diagnosed with mental illness, okay? So, let's be clear about this. At the same time, when a person is diagnosed with a mental illness, there are still times that a person can experience periods of physical, mental, and social well-being. So, nakagihapoy times na bisag na siya mental illness, pero na yung mga episodes na okay siya, makarelate siya, maayo iyang panghuna-huna, physically, okay siya. So, that's the difference. So, we cannot say na kung poor mental health siya, na siya mental illness. Okay? So, okay, next. Now, why do we consider mental health as important? We are happy, especially in our profession, we are happy that mental health now is being given so much emphasis. In fact, our president has already signed the mental health law in order to give importance and emphasis to preserving the mental health of people. And also last October 10, we celebrated World Mental Health Day. So it means that everyone is being made aware. Why is mental health important? Now, mental health is not only, as I said, it doesn't refer only to the cognitive aspect or the way we think, but affects our overall health. Because if you are not mentally healthy, your physical health will also suffer. So, both mental and physical health are important components of the total overall health of a person. So, now mental illness, especially depression, okay, increases the risk for many types of physical health problems, particularly those conditions like stroke, diabetes, and heart disease, cancer, etc. So, they are high risk for this kind of problems. So, people who are affected with these long-lasting conditions are high risk for depression. I think you are familiar with people who are sick or who are ill-stricken with stroke or diabetes and all heart disease and those long-term sickness. They are those prone to depression or mental illness because of their conditions, no? Kanang they feel na wala na sila pulos, they cannot be employed anymore or anything, useless na sila sa kinabuhi, what's the use? So they usually go into depression. So there is a need for us to be able to consider that, no? Especially with relatives and family who are into this kind of conditions. Now, at the same time, so ano siya, no? Kung na siya mental illness or especially depression, kunya naapagid siya health problem, aggravate siya sa iyang physical condition. At the same time, kung naanapod ka daan ani nga, as I said, kung naanapod ka ani daan nga mga health problems like cancer or stroke, maka-increase po siya sa risk of mental illness. Okay? So next, please. Now, we have a question here. Can your mental health change over time? Yes. No, it's important to remember that a person's mental health can change over time depending on many factors. When the demands placed on a person exceed the resources and coping abilities, their mental health could be impacted. Example, from childhood, ang bata, siya, okay ang mental health, no? Pero as he grows older and then experience so many challenges and difficulties, and kulang siya sa intervention, kulang siya sa support, and then naglisod siya pag-cope, then that's the time that his mental health could be affected. So, mo nang itawag na ma-change ba di ay. So, maayo ka isa sa bata pa, healthy and everything, but then in the course of life, as he journeyed through life, daghan siya na-encounter ng mga pagsubok, no, trials and all those difficulties. And then, wala pa gyud siya support from anybody and family, for example. So, that's a time when nagpisod siya unsaon niya kaya. Munang, if you notice, it could be nga kanang mga buang bitaw nga naglakaw-lakaw sa dalan. We do not know what the story has been. So, it could be nga they were not able to cope with challenges and difficulties that they have been through. So, they the mental health was affected. So, mao na siya nga, we should try to be more considerate with these people because we do not know what the story is all about. Okay, next, please. So, I have here an example of, this is from WHO. If somebody feels down or what, he or she really needs support. Now, there is also a question here na we should not, the case according to the WHO, dapat daw, we should not sacrifice our health in lieu of education or in lieu of what do you call this, basic necessities. Usahay bitaw murag food sa kawadon or lang sa resources. So walay pagkaon, so usahay dili na pud, wala na chance nga maka-eskwela unya, kulang sa pagkaon, walay baon ang bata, so ma-sacrifice gyud, you know, kay dili na pud maka-eskwela ang bata kay way pamiliti, kay ipalit og bugas, ipalit og sudan, so it's like that, no? So mao na siya, or wala gani halos mapuy-an, so basic necessities are not being met. Next, please. Okay, now there are several reasons or factors that would cause mental illness. Now, if you are familiar with traumatic experience, like in the early phase of life, ang mga bata, no, maka-experience na sila of traumatic situations, like na ay mga bata nga nakakita sila na naikitay or something very morbid or tragic, or na aksidente, or the parents were killed or something like that. Very tragic and very morbid. So it will bring trauma to the child, or even history of abuse, sexual abuse, verbal, psychological, physical abuse. So ang bata, no, early stage, kung nag-experience siya na and then wala siya na-process, wala siya natabangan, he or she wasn't able to be given support or even counseling, or wala bitaw na tubag unsa iyang mga pangutana, because sa child dili man sila kasabot unsa tong nahitabo, so dapat na-address to siya na experience. Kaya tendency magud adto kung kato nga bat dito siya ma-process ang iyang it keeps on disturbing him or her until she reach adulthood na magbalik-balik siya, and then it becomes a personality disorder. Okay? So next, we go to another reason for mental illness. There are experiences related to medical conditions, like as I said kanina, katong mga long-term physical illness, cancer, diabetes, etc. Now, biological factors means nasa genes, no? Or chemical imbalances in the brain. Okay? Yung mga bata nga, they were born with some kind of chemical imbalances in the brain, and then later, ako nila, kung ano na siya, develop into some kind of mental illness. So as early as the baby or but mabalaan na sa parents kung unsa iyang mga problema, especially with the brain, from Tagalog intervention. And then another something that causes mental illness is meron mong friends or you feel lonely or isolated ka nang di kaayo ka, do not socially connect, o kahay manggod ka nang kung we feel or we have problems and we're alone, tendency for us is maulang na kamudukol anybody kay hindi na nato sila friends, di ba? So I hope we will not have that kind of situation. And then another cause of mental illness is the use of alcohol, lalo naman taana, or abuse of drugs. Next. Third.
My apology na ako yung na-press. Okay. Ako yung na-press. Ako pala ito. Okay.
Sorry, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, naano yung makita, ma'am?
Wala pa, sir.
Wala. Okay. I will try. How about that one?
Sandra, ang iburang files.
Ang walang files. Okay. Sige, we will fix. Na ako yung na-press mong good. Ganina. So, pasensya na.
Pero pag-ibalik ang tuga.
How about that one? Okay.
Wala gihapon. Idako akong screen.
Okay. We will try. Where is that? Okay.
Ika na, sir, balik na to, asa.
Okay, ka na?
Oo, nibalik na.
For that one, right?
Pero dili na mo akong ang one man na, sir, ang intro.
This one, ma'am. Okay.
Wala pa, sir.
Wala yung nagawas?
Wala.
Kaya siya?
Wala. Na siya, sir. Okay, na. Yes, sir. Okay, so, since Sir Harold told me that participants are coming from the HR, so I thought it would be best to discuss things along the perspective of mental health condition in the workplace and with regards to working environment. Okay, next, sir. Okay, let's go to this anxiety. Anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. So, a very example of anxiety that we are feeling now is about this COVID pandemic, no? And I think most of us are still anxious about what will come next. When will this pandemic ends? No? Kanun sa limahuman, and then sa pagkatamo undang animas and all these facials and everything, quarantine, and then lockdown and all those things. So, future is uncertain. So, it's really possible that many are feeling this anxiety. Now, anyway, we should not worry because research made by WHO, we are anxious right now. We're not alone because 1 in 13 around the world suffers from anxiety, and anxiety disorders are the most common mental disorders found worldwide, according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. Okay, so we are not the only ones experiencing this kind of feeling. Okay, so normal rin nga ma-worry ta nga, ala, ugma, basig na misweldo or what, home. So many people are looking along that line. Okay, now, since mental health is about how we think, feel, and behave, therefore, since parts sa mental health is affecting the way we think, anxiety and depression, these are the most common mental health problems because they are often a reaction to a difficult life event. So, for example, those people whose family member, relatives, close friend, boyfriend, girlfriends, or anyone, partner in life or whoever, has just been a victim of COVID. So they are in the feeling situation right now. Most especially, kasi naka-worsen sa situation when people died of COVID is because the family members cannot even see their loved one buried, and wala na kanang mga usual nato nga mga ceremony na maglamay pata and all that. So that's the worst thing that experienced by those people who have relatives who died because of COVID. Okay. At the same time, anxiety and depression can also be caused by work-related issues. Okay. So next is now, depending on the situation, anxiety can be a life-saving superpower or alternatively a psychiatric diagnosis of mental illness. So, ang mga types of anxiety na nangyayon na siya psychiatric diagnosis, no? Kaya it might lead to mental illness. However, on the other side, katong mga anxiety nga medyo normal for us. Example of why it can become a life-saving superpower is kanay sunog, diba? Kaniya ang refrigerator na siya isa. Pero pag human sa sunog, pagbalik, hindi na niya madaog. So, because of the anxiety nga, yung balay, and then all these things, so, ang imong adrenaline has already help you to be able to survive from that crisis. Okay? So, na siya ang reason na sometimes anxiety can become a life-saving superpower because it will become a positive influence to us. Like mag-anxiety ta kay ako ra ba ang mag-host sa among seminar or something like that. So, because of the anxiety, you need to really move to prepare and do things ahead of time so that you will not be caught up during the situation when you are already there. Okay, next. Sir. Okay, so I believe that in order for us to be able to have positive mental health is to maintain our well-being or wellness. And well-being is the condition of an individual or group. A higher level of well-being means that in some sense, the individual or group's condition is more positive. Okay? So, according to Nachi and Luanidis, wellness refers to diverse, interconnected dimensions of physical, mental, and social well-being that extend beyond the traditional definition of health. Now, when we say well-being, Manggod, the choices that you make and the activities that you indulge with aim at achieving physical vitality, like you have itong nag-apil o mga zumba-zumba, mental alacrity, or being able to really adapt to whatever is the situation. Social satisfaction, you are satisfied with where you are now, what you are now, a sense of accomplishment and all that. So that is what wellness is all about, more or less on the positive side. Okay? So next, sir. Okay. When we say well-being, Manggod, as a noun, when we say well-being, it is the state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy. However, this is what the English dictionary, Oxford, defines well-being. But when we say what does it actually means, when we say being comfortable, being healthy or happy, so there is no short answer actually. When a person feels, what a person feels is the perfect state of well-being, will be completely different from another person. Ano ni siya? Anong lain tao pagtanaw sa atong self, sa atong well-being, because lain man tao personalities, we have different ambitions and goals. So for example, you are the type of person na kung tinura ka kung makakaon ka libi or mahappy na ka kung makakita ka sa imong David, or you feel comfortable kung naa ka sa mong comfort zone, naa ka sa balay, or doing your thing, work from home. So actually, it all depends on each and every individual. So dili ka kaingon nga mao gyud ni ang exact definition of what is a well-being, because happy ka was siya di ay kung happy ka just because nakakaon ka sa imong favorite food, then siya dili day to me mao iyang happiness, no? Lahi ang iyang happiness. So one it all depends on each own definition of unsa man ang makaka-comfortable, makaka-healthy sa iya. Kung para sa iya ang makaka-healthy sa iya is inom siya beer every night, one bottle lang, tapos unsa patiha. So ano siya ang iyang definition sa iyang pagka healthy or happy. Okay, next sir. Now, there are two things I would like us to develop in this pandemic, no, in order to be able to survive, to establish, to develop resilience, and at the same time well-being. So, importante ang personal resilience. At the same time, when you work as a team, especially if you're in the workplace, kung may team resilience, importante kayo na siya how to manage a stressful situation. If you have a problem in the company, for example, and then team members develop this team resilience, then it would not be so difficult for them to manage that stressful situation. Kaya puro man sila ka-develop na attitude. Okay. Now, since we are in the workplace, so stress, we would like to touch something about stress. Stress is an inevitable part of life. Please, stress is part of our life. It's always part of our life. But how we deal with it can make a lot of difference. No, naagyo na siya ang stress, hindi na mawala. But according to research also, stress, too much stress can cause medical conditions, especially cancer. Okay, siyempre, daghan kada bang ma-use up ang all your energy and everything, and then you turn out to be negative and all that, so the cancer cells will develop more because of negative negativities that you have been experiencing or feeling. Now, since each one of us is unique, so situations that trigger stress in one person can affect another person differently. Like for example, if you're a warrior, so dali lagi ka mas stress, no? Labi sunod-sunod ang activities sa trabaho, sunod-sunod ang task ihatag sa imo, and then na-worry na daan ka, wala pa gani ka kasugod. So, mo na siya, mas na-stress na dayon ka. Another person, could be nga, kung daan siya bahoon, mas ma-challenge siya. Mas ma-enjoy siya. Magkakanta na siya or whatever. Can do things easily, ay happy man siya. Okay? So, highlight taog way of dealing with stress. Mao na kay with our uniqueness, with our being having different personalities, mao na nga we have different way of handling stress, but our tips on how to do that. Okay, what is stress? So sometimes you use this word stress always, but ano ba kita unsa gid ang tinuod nga meaning sa stress? So, ang stress is a feeling of strain or pressure. No? Na-pressure ka, uy, birthday na rabanin, kuhan, ugma. So, kung sa'yo mo pakaon niya, ikaw po, na-worried pa kayo, wala kay budget, and then everybody is telling you, uy, hello, happy birthday, sama na. So, pressure na ka, di ba? Wala na feeling of strain. So, that's just a common example. So, what we commonly think of stress as too much mental or emotional pressure. However, no, kung magmamala ka na ang stress is mental raman na siya, emotional raman na siya, pressure. But you have to remember na or physical or physiological stress is also important. Because stress can affect how you feel, and how you think, and how you behave, how your body works. Ay, ang ato, because our mind and our body are interacting. Pura sila o ng asawa na the husband is the mind and the wife is the body. So, they interact with each other most of the time. So, mo na nga, kung ma-stress atong mind, so, maapiktahan po ka ng mura kagigutom, isa ba ko pa kanikaon, mura perli lang kagigutom, so mo na masigil po kagkaon, hangtod, mamudako na noon ka, niya mo, yung po ka, alaway yung saan ng pagpagamay, so, anak na siya, no, so, mag-chain reaction na dayon. So, stress can affect how we feel, so, and how we behave, and how our body works. Okay? Next. Now, first thing first is, we have to remember, bakit naka-stress na ako sa trabaho? It could be sa balay. Na-stress ako daan sa balay, nag-away ni, kung husband sa wife, kapabot sa opisina, so init akong ulo. So, di na ako ka-function kay nasapot naman ko, no? Or sa social life, ako sa hindi naka-stress na ako. Kunya, for the stress affect us physically and mentally. Kung sa may nag-affect sa apektahan sa ako nga na-stress ko, sinit akong ulo, ako katulog, kunya, walay lami itaon, no more at night, then we can help ourselves. So it's very important that we recognize kung saan pinahito, what's happening, and to avoid what is the cause. It's possible to avoid what is the cause of our stress. So the stress could be at home, at work, or with our social connections. Now, there are tips I would like to give you how to maintain mental well-being at work. So there are 6 R's of resilience. Now, first, you have to define what is resilience. Filipinos are known to be very resilient people. No? Ako, no? Resilient kay katanga type of culture at people. Kaya, no? Human sa Baguio or bisag nagbagyo, nagpa and all that, makita na to sa TV, nakasmile, naka-selfie pa sila, di kan sila afford to have fun, even in the floods and in the rain. And then, they're able to bounce back. Okay? So, mo lang, sa mga Pilipinos, kanang dali rabitaw kahit maka-recover kay we manage to cope with what is going on, no? So, the process of adapting well to adversity. So, kung unsa ang mga naagi yan nga makalisod, dali, ang Pilipino, so, dali ra kaita maka-adapt, maka-recover, maka-manage. And also the trauma and the stressful situation and crisis. Ability to be able to bounce back and being resilient can improve one's ability to cope. So, kung inaana bitaw ta nga, example, especially in this pandemic, so many people have lost their jobs. So many people have experienced what we call this stressful situations, no? Kanang uban wala na ka-eskwela, ang uban ang ilang resources sa una ang ilang mga relatives and parents, even parents who are OFWs, to be sent home kay na sila na retrenched from work. So it's a very big impact to the family. Giyon sa Manila pag-cope. So ang uban, I have heard stories about people trying to manage by selling pants, went to the province, and then tried to find some ways in order to survive. No? Nagluto-luto, tapos nag-deliver o pagkaon. How many? Daghan na kayo nagkuhan karon ng mga deliveries and all that, and then some bisan of ano na sila, so they applied as kanang delivery boy or sa padiya, basta lang to survive. So that's the Filipino. No? We are famous for this kind of attitude of being resilient. So, it's a good thing because it helps us in our ability to cope. Okay, next. So, what are these 6 R's of resilience? So, 6 R's of resilience will help us to prepare. Sir, balik ka dali, sir. These 6 R's of resilience can help us to prepare. So, that we're able to bounce back when we are faced with difficult situations. Okay, so first is, what is the first R? The first R is, the first R is responsibility. So, personal responsibility for our own mental health, well-being, and resilience. Remember that the company you work for have a duty to care for you, no? So, for example, like what you are doing now, your director is trying to help you out by providing this webinar so that your mental health will be taken care of, you will be given tips, and how to manage your stressful situations, especially in this pandemic. Your family and friends care about you. The only person who has to live with you for the rest of your life is no one else but you. No? So, wala, for example, ikaw, naglapad imong ulo, hindi man mo na ma-transfer imong labad sa ulo sa imong boss or sa imong staff. No? Ikaw na yun ang nag-feel, ana. That's why, this is what it means na the person who will live with you for the rest of your life is nobody but you. That's why we have taking care of ourselves, not being selfish, it is sensible. Because first and foremost, isa rin itong lawas, no? So, isa rin itong body. It is the only gift we have from God that we have to take care of. The only life we have to return after our journey. Kumunang, we are given the responsibility to preserve ourselves, not only our mental health, but overall health we have. Okay, the next R is reflection. Reflection is to reflect how you are. Kumusta naman ka? Okay raman ko. When you say okay ra ba sa ato kay dili din na siya okay. So make sure na when you are asked how are you, when your boss will ask you how are you, to be honest, it's okay not to be okay. I'm sure you are familiar with the Korean drama. It's okay not to be okay. Actually, it's okay to say, actually, sir, I'm not feeling well. Actually, I'm not feeling good. It's okay to be open, to tell what you are feeling, what is happening, and how you are feeling about things. No? So, importante kayo murag sa busy na to, murag wala natin time to look into ourselves. Kumusta naman ka ako? How am I now in this pandemic? Naamok yung anxiety, pero okay ra, kaya ra. So, it's bothering you in a night, and then nobody knows about it except you. Ikaw ra po lang nagsuffer. Next is relaxation. Now, all work and no play makes Jack dull boy. So, relaxing in a way na kanamupit sa imo. Example, if ka mahilig og jogging or mahilig og zumba or dancing can also be a great exercise, and also I don't know kung allowed na ba ang moato sa beach karon, swimming, then reading a book, your favorite book, and then mindfulness practice. Okay. Sir, next, sir. Okay, relationship. Can you build a supportive relationship with friends, with family, or a partner? So, knowing who to turn when times are difficult. Bang naakay, you have only few friends, but at least you have very good, real friends who will stand with you when the weather is not so good, no? Kay, Ano ko di mo matest kung kinsa imong real friends when you are in crisis, in trials, in difficult moments, you will know who your friends really are. So it's very important to build that kind of supportive relationship. Okay, next, refueling. So this has something to do with our physical body. So to eat a healthy diet. So na kayong klase sa mga diet, keto diet, and all those things. Pero make sure na the diet you are what you are trying or experiment is really or really fits into your system. Kaya naman may uban nagamit sila ani nga klase sa diet, tapos dili ay fit para sa ilang system kay nana sila mga maintenance and all these things. So you have to check with your doctors first before going into such kind of diet. Kaya basig naa siya yung mga side effects na dili maayo para sa like for example, dili na kumamahaw, kaya isa na lang kumukaon kaya para mag-swim jud ko niya. At the same time diet, so it's not a kind of diet is advisable, no? Because breakfast is eat breakfast daw like a king, no? Then lunch like a inch, and then sa gabi is already a light diet na lang, kaya we are going to sleep. No? So I think that's the, then regular exercise and having fun. So, importante sad na kanang we have to do some exercise. It's usually what is being advised not only by doctors but also being given to us as part of our wellness. So, exercise our body even for 30 minutes a day or 3 times a week. That's good enough. Then walking, or if you're not on jogging, you can go biking or walking. Walking can be also a very good exercise just to make your muscles move. Next is third. Oh, I think that's the last part. So I am referring to this work-related stress because if the stress is prolonged, it can lead to both physical and psychological damage like anxiety and depression. So, work can also, overwork can also aggravate our existing conditions and problems. For example, nakadaay hypertension, hypertensive problem. And then, ma-aggravate na siya kung pag-abot sa work is you are not able to manage your stress. And then, at the same time, it can worsen your existing conditions. And then, at the same time, if work is causing the health issue or it's trying to aggravate, so the employers, your employers have a legal responsibility to help employees. And it is, if mental health issues are work-related, it must be assessed to measure the levels of risk to staff, no? Okay. Important mo galing na ay HR department look into the work-related problems of our employees. Ay kung dili siya ma-address na grabe na siya, worsen na siya, so tuloy po tayo ang employee na he or she will not enjoy her retirement days because na-stroke na siya, wala pa gani, ma-retire or tabakay po sa iyahang. I know somebody bata pa kayo siya, na-stress kayo siya sa iyang trabaho, and then all of a sudden she was brought to the hospital, na-stroke, paralyzed, and then may na lang nakalakaw na siya karon, pero wala na siya kabalik sa trabaho. And because he's the type na who doesn't open up and who doesn't express what he feels, kaya baw lang siya ng baw sa ihatag sa iyang trabaho, etc. Pero wala din yung result na inadayon niyang mga ibati sa lawas. So, it can worsen. So, bata pa siya, imagine at the age of 30 plus or something, baka jobless na ka, and then anak yung mga anak, and then mura you feel you are a liability instead of an asset to the family. No? So, munang put ang responsibility sa employer in terms of trying to address the mental health issues of employees. Because if the risk is already identified, then there must be steps taken to remove it or to reduce it as far as practical. No? So, kanang ma-refer siya o medical specialist, and then tabangan sa company in the financial side, and then with the support, no? The social support or the comfort from family and friends, importante sa kaina, in order to lessen the situation, the feeling of being helpless. Okay, next. So, tayo, recruit na daan sa employees na siya pre-existing physical or mental condition. So, if we develop one caused by factors na really work-related po, no? So, posible nga, pagsulot pa niya daan, na siya aning nga kondisyon, na siya aning nga bati, pero ako yung uban nga na-develop niya along the way while working. Pero it's not just to work. It's because of ayang family baka or sa whatever conditions the guy or the person is experiencing outside the world. Okay? Now, in your case, if you already feel under pressure, it's hard to distinguish when stress begins after your condition, making it worse or bringing on an episode. So many of the symptoms of stress and mental health condition are similar. So palihara more or less ang symptoms of stress of mental health condition. The main differences lang ay ang gayon ang level of severity. Meaning kung hindi kayo sa severe, kaya ra, so manageable ra. Pero kung severe na kaayo, nagdubay pagit ang symptoms, and how its effects have impacted the person in their everyday life. Matungod kay naana siya na-stress, murag tanagit sa system, so times siya katulog, insomnia, and walay gana mukaon and all that. So, kung prolong na siya, so dili na siya maayo, no? Dili na siya maayo. Feel worsen. Kung ma-trigger pa din siya, mas stressful o very stressful situation, then dili na din siya ma-worsen. As early as nana kayo ma-feel ng mga symptoms, so it's good to take notice of symptoms as early as possible. Okay? Next, sir. So, una na daan, take action at an early stage. If you feel you have a problem, the sooner you do something better. So, mas maayon mo ang prevention kaysa magpalit na kang maintenance, no? So, the better, it can stop you from becoming more unwell. Right? Parang mas muad na magdupod sa imong stress kung ay na naman to resita, ang kinala na gituani, and this is forever, no? Kung manang as early as the symptom has presented, mas maayo itong i-consulta na daan, i-istorya na daan, isa hilom-hilom lang, then mugabi na gid siya. Okay, and then mga line managers, they can play an important role in identifying kinsa man itong mga colleagues, mga kauban ninyo, behaving out of character. So it is best to be cooperative if, example, your manager will approach you with concern, can I talk with you? And it looks like you are being sad these days, no? So don't be afraid to open up. No? The more that you will, reveal what is going inside, the better for them to help you and to address what is going to disturb you. Sir, next, sir. So, help your manager to identify his, sir. Okay. So we have to remember that stress and mental health conditions do not affect everyone in the same way. So as I said earlier, dili good pareha ang effect kada usa kay lain-lain man tag personalities, lain-lain po tag mga priorities. So, depende rin yun na how stress affects us. And then, the employer can make adjustments to ease your problems only if you give them a better understanding of your situation. Dili man could come at, you can tell your employees na dili mo makatabang sa ila if you do not know the real situation. So, dapat makabaludjud mo unsa ilahang, let them realize and let them be aware that informing you of what is happening in themselves and in their families and their actual situation can help you in trying to make their problems lesser, or try to minimize, or try to debrief, or try to unload some of the problems that they are experiencing. So you make an open discussion. If you are the HR personnel in your area, you can have open discussion, and then open discussions, make it positive, work out with employers how you can help the person. Okay? So, kanapang mutabang ta, and also make emphasis and to let the staff and the people around feel na it's not an issue to be about na chismis na kung si kuan na lagi kayo nasakit, uy si kuan na to siya, uy basig na usa na to siya, basig lain na to ang murag, instead of helping the person, murag nabully na siya, no, because of the chismis going around. So let our support be more on the positive side, more on being very genuine and very generous with our comments and our what we call this, our support, no? If we cannot support financially, we can always lend our ears, no? Listen, just by listening, we can unload their burdens, okay? As a colleague. Okay, now, when we say well-being, as I said earlier, just like what mental health is and how stress affects is really very individual, no? So, how we can develop our well-being is to connect, no? To relate with others, to be able to reach out, keep in touch katong mga long lost friends na niyo, mga classmates sa una sa high school, college, you can gather or call them, kasi kumusta na sila karon, yan, gani. So, establish a connection, being active, then note, keep learning. This is discussed in the next slide. Give people your time, your words, and your presence. Not necessarily it's all about financial. You can give your time, no? People who need your listen, your kind words, and even your presence, no? Para na ilang ikinahanglan. And then mabuhi na murag life starts to better again. Okay, next. So, next, sir. Okay, so this is what we mean by connect. So, being able to listen to others, being able to talk at the same time to somebody you feel comfortable, and then being able to reach out, be connected. Ayaw naman na tayo mag-connect karon, daghan na tayong way, technology, Viber, and Messenger, and all that. And then being active, do what you can. Enjoy what you do, and then move your mood. So, kung bad mood ka, so try to make it more positive and more happy. Mangita, pag-come to divert your bad mood para ma-positive ang mood. Okay? Take notice. Remember the people, things, or the simple things that give you joy. So, nang kaon o nang imong favorite, like, want to eat ice cream, go and buy a cone of ice cream, no? Habang small, simple things in life lang will make you happy. Then keep learning, so don't be afraid to explore new experiences. You have the opportunity to travel, you see opportunities, surprise yourself, no? Kana bang, usahay manggod ka ng, una na tanga, magani may kuhan yun, travel. So, pero, mind you, no? Na modesty aside, kauna, wala. I had a dream na I could go to Holy Land. I never expected na to be realized out of the blue. So I really have to shell out. I really have to spend because I want to realize that dream. Until now, I cannot regret. I did regret doing it because it's once in a lifetime na bang dream na realize nino. So, and then, I could have spent that money or saved that money ko, pero dili man mabayaran sa ang reward for that experience is dili mabayaran sa what I dili mabayaran kay it's very memorable, no? So murag ba kanang kung sa imong gusto ma-experience na wala ka na experience it, no? Kay live only once, life is short, enjoy life while it's there.
You live only.
Then give your time, your words, as I said, your presence, no? Your presence might be the only reason that a person will bring hope in life, no? Kasi isipin mo sa imong friend na lonely or what, sakit. Tomorrow day ito naka sa iya, answer yan, diba? No? Your kind words, your visit, your presence made a difference in that person's life. Okay, now, going back to depression, to review lang sa, actually, tingnan ko ni apil ng mga slides, kay, I was talking already about being positive, pero kay, for more information or emphasis on idea nga unsa gid ang cause sa depression, unsa gid ang when can we say nga depressed ka nang usay mo ingon ka nga I'm really depressed pero dili ito siya mao, no? So one common finding is that people who suffer from a chronic diseases mo taong yung ganina nga lagi tendency nga mo-depress sila. Like, for example, those experiencing or those who are sick with cancer and all that. That's why they need comfort, they need what do you call this, company, they need friends who are well-meaning friends and having somebody to talk to. Now, scientists have to determine first if having a chronic disease increases the balance of depression or it's the other way around. Depression ba ang maka-increase sa risk of a chronic disease, no? So, wala pa nila na-determine kung which is which. Kung depression ba ang chronic disease ba ang maka-increase sa depression or ang depression ba ang maka-trigger sa kung ma-depress ka, kung nakaka-depression, maka-trigger ba na siya to have a stroke. Okay. Now, regardless of which is which or the cause, no? Chronic diseases and mental health disorders are treatable, no? Manage man siya because daghan naman karon mga experts, so psychiatrists and psychologists all over are present to help address these problems, and employers can also use multiple strategies in order to make their work environments more supportive as well as more considerate in order to gain overall physical and mental and general well-being. So, importante dito ayo po na ang atong workplace is very conducive to our overall well-being, no? So, it's very timely, and this webinar is given to HR managers like you because you will be handling people with different personalities, different ambitions and goals in life, and who have problems in different seas and variations, whether from home or from society, communities, whatever. No, so okay, next. So these are just example of the common risk factors for mental health and chronic disorders. Anxiety disorders, we have ADHD. This is what we ADHD. Disruptive behavioral disorders. We have depression and other mood disorders. We have eating disorders. Naabot siya. Personality disorders. Okay, next. So we go to details of this. So anxiety disorders. So on Alicia, these are examples of anxiety disorders. Sir Harold can maybe send a soft copy to each one of you for a review of these slides, no? Then ADHD for attention deficiency syndrome, okay? And then we have disruptive behavior disorders. Next, please. So what are these? So when we say anxiety disorders, people with anxiety disorders respond to certain objects or situations with fear and dread or terror. Kana bang kung anxiety disorders na gid siya, kanang kami nabitaw ang iyang fear, grabe na iyang experience, no? Of when we say grabe na kanang hindi rin siya makulbaan, makuyawan. So social anxiety, panic disorders, and phobias. Kana na yung mga fear of height, fear of water, dili makasakay aeroplano, kay phobia sa height, na dili mo sakay o kanang elevator, kay phobia sa closed doors and mga inana. So these are examples of anxiety disorders, no? Then we have disruptive behavioral disorders. These are involve a pattern of mga disorders na kanang bulas lang siya for at least 6 months, and then it will cause problems in school, at home, and the social interactions, no? Then it can continue into adulthood, okay? So mga disruptive behaviors. Now, ang ADHD, this is most common in childhood, no? Mental disorders, mga bata. It can continue until adolescence and adulthood. So people diagnosed with ADHD have trouble paying attention, kanang dili bitaw sila makafocus, kulang sila sa focus, then they cannot control impulsive behaviors, mo react tayo sila, no, dali ka kanang matrigger gani sila, delikado kayo din siya kung adult na siya, kay mo bitaw ng tendency sa uban siguro nga sa traffic violation lang or traffic rules lang, so apusil na siya, nakapatay na siya kay sa impulsive behavior niya, no? Mawala ka na address. Niya ako yung thinking about what the result will be. Then later na siya makarealize na nabuhat ng tunang. Okay? Depression and other mood disorders. So when bad moods are common na lang mag-bad mood ka, no? Sa putunta, internet, hinay kaayo, and all these things. But usually, then maulian rapod ka. But people suffering from mood disorders live with more constant and severe symptoms, no? Now, people living with this mental illness find that it impacts both mental and psychological well-being nearly every day, even and often for much of the day. So most of the day, ano rin siya? Guba yun yung mood, no? Wala yun. Every day and then most of the day. Okay? Those are examples of disorders that may affect our eating disorders. So, eating disorders is either overeating or dili mo kaon, no? Or kamay ra kay ang kaonon, no? So, it could be obsessive or sometimes distressing thoughts and behaviors, no? Kanang dili ko mo kaon og daghan kay dako niya ko, dako arap ako, or di ko ganahan mo dako. Okay, overeating, kanang stress ko, so mukaon ko daghan. Okay, feeling of depression or stress. So sometimes ang uban mo iyang outlet kaon ayang gusto. Or conscious about weight, so body shape or self-image, so ginagmay na lang kaon nun. Wala na sa normal ang healthy yung eating habits. Okay? So example of these disorders are anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating. So katong example ni Karen Carpenter, no? He died with anorexia. Okay, that's PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder. These are common, like for example, people experiencing some event, no? And then after the event, humana ang traumatic, like nasunugan sila or mga very stressful event. After that, the person will experience sleep problems, hindi na siya katulog. Kunya, dali na siya mapulbaan or upset. No? Then, magsigig balik-balik ang memories of that particular event. Or, for example, rape victims, no? Naani sila, maka-experience sila, magbalik to, tayo nahitabo sa iya. And then, pag-usay, dili na siya, program na siya, dili na siya kapit. Substance use disorders, we know this already. Personality disorders, kanang extreme ang ilang personality traits, no? Will cause problems in work. So, schools at the social relationships include anti-social person, no? Ay mga person na sila ganahan o maki-socialize. They want to be alone, no? Dili sila, manid sila or lang, happy sila nga sila ra, no? Anti-social person. Borderline personality disorders. Okay. Now, kanang, this one, schizophrenia, or, higher level na ni o mga disorders, no? Mga with psychotic disorders, and then, schizophrenia is already example of a psychotic disorder because people with schizophrenia may also have low motivation and hard emotion. So, disorganize na ilang thinking, yeah, di nakakasabot sa ilang control, no? Okay, next. Eating disorders, so money ang mga signs, so hindi exercise, naikaon-kaon, ganahan, or conscious kaayo nga mudako sila, niya normal electrolyte levels, and then ganang paghunaon, no? Or they also overindulge in eating at the right kind of healthy foods. Okay, next. What else? Next, sir. So, personality disorders, and then types of depressive disorders. So, all these siya katong ganina akong mention. Okay, next. So, how are we going to identify depression and anxiety? So, physical symptoms and behavioral changes. So, na kayo ma-experience sa mga hindi na masakit mo tiyan. Sige na labad yung ulo. No? Physical symptoms. Behavioral changes. Sa una, hindi na ka makatulog. Mag-lisod na magtulog. Okay? Emotional symptoms, no? Then, potential causes of depression, like I said, family history, history of depression in the family, early trauma, childhood trauma, stressful stimulus. It could be nga wala ka ning duha pero dili ka na kanang birthday na stress ka because of a very stressful situation. Brain structure, no? The neurologist or specialist of the brain can explain more about the brain structure can also trigger, no? Depression and anxiety. Medical condition or drug use. Now, depression, feeling down or sad, upset is normal. Normal naman sad ng sad or down or upset. But it can can be concerning feeling that will last for several days or work or weeks on end. No? Kung mula sa siya udugay, dili na maayo. So, mao na siya. Kaya man naman, worry ka, masad ka, a while, and mudugay na siya, mulas na siya for months, and then affect your normal routine. So, there is something that must be done. Okay, next. Now, what is immediate relief? When you say immediate relief, before you seek professional help. So, if you feel those symptoms, no? The hug from a loved one, kasi narapod mo kulang, no? Kulang lang ka sa pansin or inalan lang kag-hug. No? The hug has multiple effects to a person. No? When you hug someone, you feel love, you feel cared for, you feel you are needed and wanted. So, it has a multiple effects to us emotionally. Or enjoy aromatherapy, or have a hobby, paint artwork, or do something, play the guitar, or makes you relieve of the tension. Next is okay. Now, you can also try this one, no? Progressive muscle relaxation. So, kung sa office ninyo nga kanang kabalo magmasahe-masahe, pwede man sa you try to have muscle relaxation or kanang if you cannot do it yourself, no? And then listen to experts. So we can always multimedia now is very helpful in trying to search for more resources regarding how to preserve oneself health, no? That thing. So what I learned is that when we try to explore this breathing exercise, is that you count when you inhale, you count slowly when you try to experience breathing. So you do it for a while, like example, when we start to inhale, when we say inhale, so you count yourself 1, 2, 3, para dili siya abrupt ang iyong pag-inhale. So when we say inhale, exhale, and when you exhale also, you also count bisag 1, 2, 3 lang or 1, 2, 5. Para ma-feel yun mo ang pag-inhale or pag-exhale. Para bang at the same time you are trying to exercise your lungs. And when you inhale and exhale, it must be coming from your stomach. Okay, so that's a good exercise for the lungs. Okay, and 5-minute meditation session. So try to give yourself some minutes of meditation when you're alone or at home or before you go to sleep. So to meditate, it can also help a lot. And listening to music, very relaxing, calming music. So these are some tips that you can try. Okay, next. Okay. Now, to manage your symptoms. So these are very important. Simple tips, no? Number 1 is when you are angry, for example, when you are angry, allow yourself to feel what you are feeling. Do not lie that you're angry. So when somebody says, nasuko ka, wala man. Pero, ang sa imong voice is you are really angry. So let yourself feel what you are feeling. And know that it's not your fault. Okay? So, kung nasuko ka, let it be, no? Nasuko ka. Do not deny it. And then, something that you have control over, like for example, isapot ka, pero you want to divert yourself, kung ano lang, mag-liyok na lang ko, maghindo ko, or maniligan ko, or isa ba. So, while I'm away, and then to change the mood, no? then you would also create a movie, morning, evening, or even a daily routine. So nanatay, or maybe mag-imo ka o kuhan, routine mo nga, mo niya akong buhaton every morning, kaya paghapon mo sa di. Especially in this work from home environment, ensure kasagaran sa ating work from home. No? In our case, sa CSU, kanang sa ang faculty are the ones doing work from home. Ito naman sila magkasi sa balay. So in our case, ang skeletal, we have to do, no? So, another thing is do your best to stick to a sleep schedule. So, hindi usahay ang problema nato kay dapat 8 hours of sleep with up. So, usahay mahugag 5 hours, 6 hours, no? So, kanigid tayo ang problema nato kung kulang di ata sa tulog, murag pagkabuntag, you don't feel well at all, no? You don't like to go, get up, and then murag walay energy. Yes, is do something that you know brings you comfort. So, you watch a movie or mata pwede karon sa sinyan, so kung ano lang, Netflix, no? Or kanang kung na-stress na kita kaayo or kanang you feel anxious, then just to relax is watch a movie, change the mood or relax your mind. Eat something nutritious, apples, some fruits at least once a day. Kung ang atong kauno man gud kung mga healthy foods, it can also cause some side effects, no? Dili sad maayo. So, good to boost that and help boost our immune system. Then, if you're active, go for a walk. Nindot po mag-walk yung breathe fresh air. Actually, sige lang taga-mask, no? And then, consider doing something you find soothing. Reach out to someone you're comfortable talking to. So, a friend, and then talk it out. Kung na kay kasuko nga wala kay kaistoryahan sa balay, so call a friend, no? And push it out. Pwede mo hila ka sa iya and all that would help, no? Okay, next. So, I think we know what is normal for us, for each one of us. If you find yourself experiencing feelings or behaviors that are not typical or something seems off, no? Mapil man yun mo kung hindi ka normal na kanang dali ma-irritate or saputon. At kung saputon ka, mag-wonder, ano isapot man ko? Diba? It might be a sign you need to seek help from a healthcare provider. It's always better to talk about what you're feeling and experiencing so that treatment can begin early. It's necessary. Yun siya. Pinaka-important. So, if there is somebody you can trust, no? Somebody you can trust. Importante man sa good when you talk to someone. The trust issue must be resolved, no? It's somebody that you can trust about the problem. Okay? Next. I think, sir, I think that's the last part that I have prepared because I think I have already shared an overview of what is mental health, what is mental illness, and what are the symptoms, and what is important is that we have to seek help. We feel that there is a need for us to really talk to someone who is an expert, no? So, yes.
Please take vote for some few minutes of question and answer. I would like to request sa mga participants nato to please chat, send your message if you have points of clarification or question. Onya, John and Kay will take care of that and they will provide me and so that I can ask question. So would you please chat? Mamangkana ko, kung ikaw HR, makikita mo sa barog or sa naong kung naanin mental disorder ang ako mga kaupang empleyado or hindi? Hello, Bernie.
Hello?
Hello, ma'am. Hello, Bernie.
Yes, is that addressed to me?
Yes, oh. Nailang ko lang na,
Huh? Can you repeat the question?
ako ang HR daw, makita ba na ako nga, nanatoy anxiety, nag-texto ko ba sa empleyado? Pwede pa na or dili na dapat?
I think it's a good thing if you are the HR, no? You can always establish connection with. Well, sir, okay. Battery is running low. Ako sa iba. Okay. So,
kami ba, kaya most of the HR, dili ra ba yun psychologist, dili guidance counselor, even a graduate of psychology. So, kung magduda may nga, mura man to, siya or
magduda na, sir, if you're only doubting, you can always ask the person to see you and then him, and then ask him if there's some concern disturbing him at the moment, or is he okay, how is she, kumusta lang ba, how is he at work, how is his performance at work, or bang kumusta ko lang siya na kanang murag liingon na kanang murag nanguan kag drama chismis dili, but we're trying to verify na kung natin mga observation sa iyang unusual sa iyang behavior na dili gyud maoy iyang gina perform, makita ni mo nga din man siya inani sa una active person man siya, and then all of a sudden lonely na siya, and then din siya mag-story and all that. So if there is something similar to that, you will notice. So pwede man mo siya tawagon on a one-on-one dialogue, and then mangumusta ka, sir, nalagi ko yung na-notice, ako na yung na-notice ha, kaysa una kay paabutin mo din sa office, magkatakantara ka, kuan ka, joker ka, and all that, and murag na, concern ko sa imo, sir, basi nakakay, unsa man yung gibati, sir, basi dahil nakakay gipamati sa lawas, unsa ba, whatever, no? Concern lang ko sa imo, importante yun na ka nang ipaabot ang sense of concern, sense of care, para maka-open up po siya. And then, make you feel na you are there to help. You are there to offer support, no? Ma-establish ninyo ang connection na dili siya mahal mo. Panalagin, sir. And kung dili mo ma-handle lang yung like, lang siya medical doctor or psychologist to refer kinahanglan siya so hindi matap
Hello, ma'am. So, okay. So to address to everybody, so if you can recall sa gi-share ni Ma'am Bernie, it's very good also na we have to reach out and ask for points of view, pero ang pag-ask sa i-emphasize niya, wala ka na ngayo og chismis para ipabi. At the same time, para maghandaan. And sabi naman ni Ma'am that we have also network, pwede nato i-recommend to psychiatrists, to medical doctors, to psychologists. So, in effect, kita nga mga HR, no? Ako, kamo, na nagdala ng mga tao, isa nga dimension nato nga is the mental health of our, psychological health of our employees and colleagues. It's very important that we should have also connections or networks nga kailata sa mga, kinsa may mga psychologist din sa atong community, kinsa may mga psychiatrist, or kinsa may mga guidance counselor sa atong lugar para dali ra ta maka-refer. Let's put this also very professionally because dili man basta-basta nga maka-counsel ta because it will be a malpractice. Because we are not supposed to be because hindi naman ta registered, but guiding and facilitating them where to go, where to ask professionals. I believe importante nga that we have to nurture and at the same time develop networks of aside sa makahibalo tagbalaod sa ora-ora, leave credits. So kailangan mo yung civil service tungod kay naghisgot mo tag mental health. Therefore dapat alam natin ang atong kauban kinsa may mga kaila nato, dapat mo appeal tag mga convention para na atay mga networks of psychologists and psychiatrists. Ma'am Bernie, are you in? Or nawala? Okay. There are questions. Ma'am Bernie, just tell me if you are already in so that we can proceed, no? There are questions. Okay. Si Ma'am is already here. Nakaproblema kasi brownout sa Butuan. But let's wait for her. Okay, Ma'am Bernie. Are you here? Sayang kaayo ang panahon kung di nato siya madungog, no?
Hello, sir. Sorry guys, kailan ang charger nag-borrow ng gold, so tapos na laptop na naputol. So, dapat yung question, sir?
Yeah, na yung mga questions, ma'am. Ako iingon sila nga isang nga dimension sa HR practice. Karon na realize na it's really important that we will refer them to the guidance counselor. So therefore, importante sa HR nga na ay mga kaila, no? Kinsay sa community nga, kinsay mga psychologists, kinsay mga guidance counselor kay dili the requirement ng posisyon sa amo, ma'am, no? Unless mga medical or schools. Pero a typical LGU is not a mandatory positions. What do you think? What can you add?
Balik sa nag-set up yung balik sa laptop. Sir, ang imong answer is
ang katong connection nga and then you advise them na kung naay ma-spot ninyo nga mga you have to talk and establish and at the same time refer to sa mga professionals. Ako sa lang giingnan nga dapat siguro kita nga mga HR practitioners katiguta makaila kung kinsa ning sa psychological association para kung makaila ta nga mga tao para magka-refer. Hello, ma'am?
Hello, sir. Oo. Sir, kanang answer.
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Okay. Nag-establish ko connect sa sir, sa laptop balik ko, okay?
No worry.
Sir, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Going back to... Okay. Okay, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Going back to your question, sir, so, kanang kinahanglan ko siya i-refer, na yun, kanang after they nag-dialogue with the employee, and then makita sa HR na kinahanglan na ang kadugayon o ang kasevere sa iyang case, then you have to, the HR must establish connections with specialists, no?
Okay.
For example, sa DOS na may mga resident psychologists, psychiatrist siguro sa DOS. Oo, sa Surigao, murag na upload. Hindi na ako familiar sa mga psychiatrist din. Pero, I believe is only for counseling. So, hindi naman sa psychologist, no? Ang kinahanglan i-refer sa psychiatrist kung kinahanglan na siya medication. Because sa psychiatrist who is a doctor by practice who can make prescriptions for medicines to take, no? Kung kinahanglan na siya ng medication, in order to calm the person down, mga depressants or whatever, nalagyan siya o ng prescription from a psychiatrist, which cannot, dili mo na siya mapalit over the counter. No? So, na nga, kung severe na gid siya, kinahanglan na gid siya medication mo nang refer na gid sa psychiatrist.
Okay. Ma'am na ay pangutan na dire. How to deal daw ko, no? How to deal a person with physical health condition like diabetes pero mapagid siya depression.
Sir, nawala ka kadali. Unsa to, sir?
Hello, ma'am. Unsa daw kuno pag-deal? Unsa pag-deal sa tao nga naa siya ay diabetes o niya napagid siya depression kuno?
Okay. Diba sa ako itong ingon kanina, it's either na ang iyang diabetes mo ay naka-trigger sa iyang depression, excuse me, or it could be also nga, ang iyang depression mo ay naka-trigger sa iyang diabetes. Kaya, ang diabetes niya is also caused by stress, too much stress, so, mo na nga kanang, dapat ang employee, ang HR magutana sa iya po, naabay siya medication, naabay siya, nag-undergo ba siya o medication, naabay siya kanang personal physician na monitor sa iyahang sa iyahang kondisyon. Kay ang diabetes ba is kanang abi na siya stages, na stage na kanang iba siya o kanang tablets lang sa, then later kanang mag-insulin na, and then later on sa panatiha. So muna nga importante sa iya nga naa siya ng iyahang doctor nga nag-supervise sa iyahang medication. So, could be nga ang iyang depression is triggered by diabetes itself.
Okay. Next question, ma'am. How to manage daw kuno? How to manage anxiety, like worries what will happen, mga yes, ma'am.
Sir, how to manage anxiety?
Yes.
Nato dito sa slide kanina, sir. Itong akong kita kanina sa mga
Kato mga immediate relief.
Dili aside to immediate naman to siya katong get a hug, and then sa kanang practice kuan kanang meditation, and then also some hobbies or artwork. So katong daghan dito, sir, nga for example, if you are feeling anxious or kanang stress ka, acknowledge, you accept it na naa ka na magibati, pero do not blame yourself. It's your fault, no? Pero anxious ka kay medyo open ka sa imong friend or sa imong boss, and then correct ang imong pero dito mo ayo nga it made you feel so anxious na. So acknowledge na hurt ka, and then at the same time tell yourself na it's not your fault. Nang pacify mo imong self. Isa to siya, sir, na siya dito. Ato mga tips dito sa ibuhaton na kung sa isa ka slide.
So okay. So in other words, ma'am, isa sa mga makatubag yun in managing anxiety is ang kaugalingon.
Oh, yes. So, because ito naman gihapon ang nagdala sa imong self. It's how you manage the situation. It's how you cope with the situation. Mga itong natoy itong 6 hours of resilience, and mataon yung pag-manage, take responsibility. So, example na, upset ka, nasuko ka, kay kasabtan ka, kay sayop imong trabaho, pero instead of trying to return trying to kasabtan ka, return the anger towards your boss or what, into yourself. Ano na sayop man ko? Asan ko na sayop ko? Wala rin ko na-focus. Mo din akong sayop. So, looking at yourself also, at the same time, dili lang kay dito lang ka nasuko ka, kay kasabdan ka, pero wala ka kinibalo nga aday gyud kay sayop. So ako dito sayop sa imo rin. Siguro lang ka ng kuan lang recall error lang or something. So Pero ang anxiety mo na to is usahay ka na we keep on blaming ourselves or we blame other people. Play the blame game. At sa atong sayo, ipasa na to sa uban din. Makos po na siya o anxiety kay nalagot naman ka sa iyaha. Diba? O inala ba?
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. There is another two last questions. Any comment? This famous doctor, I watch also his YouTube. Sir Elvis, ang nag-comment na ni, is an HRE mo di Thailand. Ningon siya ha. Pwede ba daw kuno ka mag-comment kang Dr. Willie Ong's COVID-19 tips that we have to go out from high-risk areas, low risk, and better to stay at risk-free areas like working at home. So, comment daw na it would be better to stay at home para risk-free kaysa ma-expose ta to high-risk, low-risk areas. Hello, ma'am? Okay. It seems that connection is no good, but it's a very good question from Sir Elvis. I will not attempt to answer. But it seems that mom has the hard time. There is another question. I'll take down notes. Okay. How do you feel? How do you deal an employee who is frequently having problems in performing his or her task for weeks, knowing he or she is currently having marital problem, and despite the interventions made such as psychiatric referral, medications, and counseling? Okay, that's another one. Okay. There is another also that, yes, it's a very timely.
Excuse sir, they're asking if pwede ba daw sila makayo copy sa slides.
Okay, sure. I will ask permission kang muna kang ma'am if allowed ba sila.
I think kanina sir, di okay naman to si ma'am yata sa join sa ang discussion.
Okay, so if that's the case, pwede. Okay, we will send remind me on niya. So these are, I'll be collecting some questions and take down notes, John and Kay. Yes, Rochelle said this. Yes, it's very timely karon sa ato situation, especially we feel very anxious nasa pandemic. At least we can share how to upgrade our emotions in a positive way. Okay, and then we have another one. From Surigao Metropolitan Water District, anxiety is a normal response to stress. It's that there are certain levels of anxiety that can be considered a dysfunction. It's not a question, it's a comment. So much for that. It is a very long warning, and I will stop here, and let's go back to the plenary, and let's have a concluding statement. According to ma'am, that personally my takeaways that if there are emerging signs and symptoms, no, pag nakita na nato nga kita mismo, no, not only to our employees but kita mismo, makita nato murag dili na ni normal. Di na normal ang sleeping pattern, ang worries and fears. According to ma'am, we need professional help. Okay? And then, isa sa mga takeaways po na ako is to stay connected. Dapat, kita sa HR, kini nga forum, no? Dapat alam natin kung kinsay duulon, nakatay katawagan. I really enjoy, that's why kung mga prior to the webinar, like 9 o'clock, akong gituyo nga open ang laptop so that you will exchange ideas. You were talking about BBM, you were talking about CSIS, mga loan, so that kung na bago nga information, dali ra kaayo ninyo ma-share because you are connected. with each other. Like the GC, no? Diga ang inyong mga group chat sa Messenger ay allowed as long as di lang siya bastos, as long as di lang siya out of this world, if it can help among us sa GC, you can share sa atong mga concerns. So, staying connected is very, very important. And as I grow, especially for those who are younger nga mga HR, no? I know you are quite idealistic, pero based on my experience, and I'm very sure those who are ahead of me in sa kalibutan, the more as we go older, the more that we need to seek help from each other. Correct? Especially karong panahon na. And according to Ma'am, let's be generous to our talents and skill to others. I'm very sure there are questions that we are going to raise pa, but the time is 11:49. We have 10 minutes more. But I hope sa kini nga discussion about mental health, this is no ordinary. We have to, because aside from we have the responsibility to take care sa atong mga katrabaho, kasi HR ta, napay atong kaugalingon at imanon, no? Nag-uol sila, nag-uol punta. That makes it more challenging. Kung nahadlok sila, nahadlok punta. Kung nahadlok sila COVID, mahadlok punta COVID. So, to all of that, I would say, let's stay connected, ask professional help if it's necessary, and let's be generous, and let's be compassionate, and be considerate to others. Good notes sa tanan, and thank you very much. And I'd like to request you to please unmute. Thank you for joining.
Excuse sir, please turn on your camera for the photo opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. Picture. Okay.
Okay.
First.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Slide.
Okay, sir. Sir.
Kini nga slide. Kini nga group.
Yes, sir. Dali sa
Ijan. Si Makoy, si Paul, wala nag-on. Si Bernadette. Picture.
Okay, one more. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Okay, if you would like to unmute yourself, pwede. Okay, good morning, thank you. Hi. Ma'am Rizalin, thank you for the photo for this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir Elvis, thank you.
Salamat kayo. Drake, nagbigay na Sir Drake.
Sir Randy, thank you for being so generous sa mga tao. You really give input sa